Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. The Premier League season is just starting. It's almost on the horizon. It's just 2 more days to go, but there are a lot of interesting predictions to discuss. Especially, will it be the same old thing for Arsenal? Will Arsenal be be able to get one over City this time, or will the same story repeat? What about the relegation? Will the same story repeat? What will happen to Aston Villa, who have qualified for the Champions League for the first time? How will they cope with the rigors of a new Champions League schedule? A lot of interesting things. What will happen to Chelsea? What's with Spurs? They've done some really good signings. So it's going to be very interesting as we look in uh, as we look at this season's Premier League predictions. I mean, let's actually start with relegation. Let's actually start with the relegation battle. I mean, with the with the relegation, the first thing is it's been not so interesting the last 2 seasons. When was the last time you've seen a team that has been promoted and that has stayed up? what's what we are actually seeing with teams that are coming up is they're going straight back down. The chasm, the gulf between teams in the Premier League and the Championship has just become so huge. I think it has never been this huge in the history of the Premier League. I think before this season and the last season, there have been only few seasons here and there that all of the teams that have been promoted have gone down. That's generally not been the case. That's generally not the norm in the past, but we're seeing that's the norm in the future. So I'll immediately go with Ipswich Town, who are going to get relegated. This is a big problem for the Premier League, to be honest. This is a huge problem for the Premier League that uh, both of the teams that have been relegated, that have been promoted, are just going down straight up. The third team is what is very interesting here, actually, to be honest. I do not think Leicester will go down. I actually have that belief because because you've seen all of the teams that have gone down. What has been the common factor? Teams that have gone down who lack goals. They have not had that striker to keep them up. You see, Brentford I think was one of the last teams that has come up and have stayed up. Brentford, Nottingham Forest was that. Bournemouth was that many years ago. Fulham was that many years ago. But when we consider Brentford and Nottingham Forest, Brentford had even Tony, and Nottingham Forest had Avioni, both ruthless goal scorers. So here I think Leicester City have Patson Daka, they have Jamie Vardy. It might not be the same Jamie Vardy and the same of the previous seasons, but Patson Daka provides a really good threat. So I think they have the goal scorer, they'll not go down. The team for me, the third team that goes down for me is Nottingham Forest. I mean, you could say they have Avioni, but when is he fit? I mean, the last season we have seen, the season before, he was his fitness was kind of here, but last season his fitness was not there, and Nottingham Forest are almost caught in a relegation race, and they just from Morgan Gibbs White and finding goals from elsewhere, they've just they've just somehow stayed up. So, so I think the fitness of Avioni will be a concern, and I just think Patson Daka, Jamie Vardy, I think the quality there is just a shade above what Avioni offers, to be honest. So that's why I think Leicester City will actually stay up. Candinia is here. Candinia says Kieran McKenna might surprise everyone, but Candinia, do you think many Kieran McKennas have come in the past? Vincent Kompany, it was a similar ilk to Kieran McKenna, if you say, not might not be stylistically the same, but the way he's got Burnley up in the previous season, possession based football, champagne football, very attractive on the eye, and look at what happened. I think the promoted teams, especially right now, are just realizing that you can't be a Stoke City or a team like that who just hits the ball long, or you can't be a simple possession based team to stay in this competition. Because what's happening is, like Burnley have Burnley have experienced, you're a possession based team, a Brentford or a Nottingham Forest or your competitors are sitting back and hitting you on the break. They have more money than you, so they're purchasing these fast pacey players. What do you do then? So I think the relegated teams are the gulf in the championship and Premier League is too much, and they're just facing and they're facing a hard time. And also, who are the strikers of Ipswich Town? Who are the strikers of Ipswich Town? Liam Delap is one, and there's another one who I can't remember his name. But I do not think these two strikers can keep you up. I do not think these two strikers can actually keep you up. Now let's get to the lower mid table. It's of course Leicester City. It's going to be a close fight between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City, but it's just because of Leicester, Paxton Daka, Vardy, a couple of players who've been there in the Premier League. Leicester still have certain players who have Ricardo Pereira. I think he plays there. I think Leicester, the difference between Leicester and the other teams that have come up last time, like your Burnleys, Luton Towns, and all of those, is Leicester still have those players who have been with Leicester during those good upper Premier League table finishes, like your Ricardo Pereira, Jamie Vardy's, and stuff. So they sort of have that know around of the Premier League. I think that's why I back Leicester to stay up over Nottingham Forest. So another team in the lower mid table for me. Again, this is not of a particular order because again that is unfair. I think it's impossible to predict who will finish 13th, 14th, 15th like that. To be honest, it's just 13th to 17th lower mid table, and yeah, we go on. This is in no particular order unless it's in the top four and the champions, of course. So Leicester and Wolves. For me, again, Wolves have seemed like developing well towards the end of last season, but Pedro Neto's gone, a big shoes to fill. Who will fill that? Max Killman gone, might not be that big of a shoes than Pedro Neto. Hichan doesn't always keep his fitness, is injured. Cunha also suffers from those injury, this thing sometimes. So for me, Wolves will be trying hard to get into that higher mid table and into the top 10, but I don't think they quite have the firepower. I think the manager needs one more year with Wolves to actually, you know, get them into that higher mid table, which would be their ambition. Another team which could be surprising in the lower mid table to most of you guys is Crystal Palace. For me, Crystal Palace have not fully replaced Zaha, if I could tell you, when he left a year back last season, and they have not replaced Olise. I mean, they bought some winger, but he's no Olise. He'll take time to settle down in the Premier League and stuff. Yes, they have a solid defense. Anderson, Marguerite, Munoz is doing well at fullback position. They have Dean Anderson, the goalkeeper. John Stone is good. Dean Anderson's good. I mean, the defense looks solid. Mateta's banging in goals. But I just think that not replacing Olise and then Zaha, I mean, losing those two players in two successive seasons, I think this season, they will find it hard to break into the top 10. They might be 11th or 12th, but I just think this season, they'll manager also will take time to, adapt to them. Last season, he's had half a season with them, and I think they'll find it hard to, come out of not replacing Olise and Zaha in two successive seasons. So back Wolves to finish in there. Nick is here. He says hi. Hey Nick, how are you doing? What do you feel about these predictions, Nick? Do let me know. Yeah, the the other team in the lower mid table is actually it's actually a bit uh, tricky, but I somehow would uh, I somehow would actually put Brighton in there. I know a lot of people would be telling, what is this guy doing putting Brighton in there? But there, but there are a couple of points for me putting Brighton in there. New manager, Estupinian's injured. We do not know when he'll come. Even Ferguson's out. We do not know how much output you'll get out of Danny Welbeck. They've got a couple of Minte in the midfield, a couple of new players. Adingra has not probably kicked in, he's just started to kick in. Valentin Barco's there. The defense, the defense actually looks a bit shaky. I know there is Dunk. What do you do with the goalkeeper situation when Deserby used to constantly rotate them? Now, who will be the number one? Will that cause a little bit of instability in the team? He, if we can see there are a lot of underlying issues. Have they really replaced Casido? What do you do about the fitness of Pascal Gross, who's sometimes injured? Solly March is not back yet. What do you do about his fitness? Pascal Gross seems to lose his fitness and get injured more often than not. So, I mean, a lot of underlying issues around Brighton. So that's why I've put Brighton in the lower mid table. I should have maybe put Brighton in the higher mid table. But we'll see at the end if we could actually shift some teams around, because there's a lot of competition this season. There's absolutely a lot of competition, and now I know there's one more team here in the lower mid table that I have actually not put. Uh, Nick says I don't think Forest finish that low. It's a close thing, Nick. I actually think it's between Forest and Leicester, and I just think Leicester have more firepower. I mean, Leicester have the know-how, I think. It's just because of your Wardis, Ricardo Pereira, Pat Sandaka. They have one or two defenders who've been around the Premier League a lot of time. So that's the reason. It's because of the know-how, and I think they have got better strikers than Nottingham Forest. I mean, if Avioni is fit to the end of the season, Nick, I think it could be a little bit different, the thing, but I think it will be close, the contest between Forest and Leicester, to be honest. But I back Forest to go down. So let's leave one more spot in the lower mid table for now, and then we'll go to the higher mid table and then come back. I think Brentford definitely finish in the top 12, if not the top 10, for sure. I think Brentford have too much firepower to not finish below that. Even if Tony goes, I would put Brentford in the top 12, maybe inching towards the top 10, sliding their way towards the top 10, because Mbumo, Visa. Mbumo, honestly, I think he can play for any of the top six clubs. Is that good? Mbumo, Visa, they have signed another striker, pressing for Tony to leave. The defense is good. They've got Flacken, who's a good goalkeeper. I think Brentford have all of it to finish in the top 10, top 12 of the table. The next interesting side for me is Everton. Everton's interesting. I mean, it's so tempting, right, to put Everton in the lower mid table, you see. But for me, the Andre Onana's gone. But but Sean Dice for me. Again, Everton's interesting. Andre Onana is gone. They have not signed anyone who's a proven goal scorer. But and all of these points, you to tell me put Everton in the lower mid table. They may finish 13th, 14th, something like that. But the style of play of Sean Dyche has always been nick a goal from a Tarkowski set piece, nick a goal from Brandt White. They've got an excellent defense, and they've got McNeil who delivers excellent crosses. So I think looking at Everton's style of play, how compact they are under Sonda is now a well settled system. If Everton were not deducted points, I think it was an easy top 10 finish for them last season. So I think just the manager and the way he makes them play, I think they finish in the top 10 for me. Not even top 12, they finish in the top 10. So Everton for me finish in the top 10. And the next bit of interesting thing here is I would put Aston Villa there in the higher mid table group as well. I mean, this could be surprising. You'd say, what is he telling? Forest relegation, Aston Villa higher mid table. Uh, a lot of people would feel Aston Villa will finish in the Conference League or something like that, but no. I think the Champions League schedule in itself is just stretched out this season. Newcastle found it. last season. Newcastle, everyone thought if Newcastle enters top four, they will not let it go. Newcastle last season, Champions League, they just fell off a cliff in the second half of the season. Champions League does that to you, managing schedules, especially when you're playing it for the first time, is not easy. I remember City being in the Champions League for the first time after that 2011-12 season, and we found it extremely difficult. We didn't get out of the group, but still the next season we lost that season we lost the title. The first season we were in the Champions League, and the Champions League played a huge part in that. It just trains you. I think Aston Villa, I'll say a top 10 finish for sure for Aston Villa, but I think they'll struggle to get to that Europa Conference League spot. The next team for me is Fulham. Fulham Fulham also for me finish in the higher mid table. I don't think they can have the Europa Conference League spot just because of the teams. You see the teams which are left. Just because of the teams which are left, your Chelsea's, United's, Newcastle, Spurs. You count, and the top seven is actually very strong in the Premier League. Fulham and Munoz and Raul Jimenez might be getting back to fitness, even though they have sold those in Adrabioyo, their Robinson, their fullbacks, Castagna Robinson, the fullbacks are very good. I mean, another thing is how will they deal with the loss of Palinia? That is something which I don't know. Have they signed someone? I don't know. But the loss of Palinia, maybe Tosin's loss will not affect them as much. But Munoz will be the key. Munoz will be the key for Fulham. If Fulham want to have any ambitions of getting into that Europa League spot, Munoz will be the absolute key here. Now, there are two spots left, if you might have noticed, higher mid table and lower mid table. One in the higher mid table and other in the lower mid table. Two spots left, and the two teams for those spots are Bournemouth and West Ham. Bournemouth is an interesting one. I want to put Bournemouth in the higher mid table straight away, but Bournemouth have lost Dominic Solanke, which is huge. You remove the goals which Solanke has scored last season, and Bournemouth might have finished 4 5 places below what they're finished right now. So that loss of Dominic Solanke is huge. I mean, with Bournemouth and West Ham, I see West Ham as a team who have bought well, new manager. That new manager bounce. The team is well rounded. They bought Somerville, who I thought is a player who could play for City in the future when I saw him 3 years back for Leeds against Liverpool. So Somerville is very good. Kudus will be really good this season, having settled down into the Premier League last season. Max Killman was someone Lopetegui wanted. Axel Alvarez will enjoy great season under Lopetegui. I mean, with West Ham, you'll see a lot more attacking output, I think, from players like, Lucas Paqueta, when someone like Soucek, Kudus, because under Moyes, it always felt like they were tied back. So I think with West Ham and Bournemouth, I see two clubs. West Ham on an upswing, higher mid table, and Bournemouth probably lower mid table. The competition is that tight. You see, Bournemouth is class, but you see the competition is actually that tight. Counting says Crystal Palace below Everton. That may be a bold prediction. But Candinia have Crystal Palace really replaced Olise? Yes, Maketa is in red hot form. Even if you give me Haaland, how I mean the entirety of last season or the season before, Haaland wasn't in red hot form throughout. There were patches where he was not scoring goals. So Maketa will also go through those patches. And when Maketa goes through those patches, last season, maybe the season before, but mostly last season, they had Michael Olise, for example, who could cover up for that. You had Eze, for example, who could step in, but Olise is not there now. The fitness of Eze has always been a doubt. So, so I actually think Crystal Palace this season, and also new manager as well, right? Okay, last season is coming, but he hasn't had a whole season to himself. Crystal Palace. So So I think this could be a transitional season for Palace actually. Countainia says, wouldn't be surprised if West Ham make Conference League. That's very bold, Countainia. You tell me what is bold, that is bold. Wouldn't be surprised if West Ham make Conference League. It's incredibly difficult, Countainia, for West Ham to make the Conference League. I was tempted to put Fulham in the Conference League. I just realized they lost Palinia, but the reason it's difficult is you see the teams that are remaining below. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. Any of these teams would be title contenders for any of the other top five European leagues. You put any of these teams which are remaining, these seven teams, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, Newcastle, Spurs, you put any one of these teams in the French league, they probably win the French league. You put any of these teams in the Spanish league, they either come second or they win the Spanish league. You put any of them in the Bundesliga, they compete for the top spot or they even win it. So you see how strong these seven are. Each of these seven are title contenders. Arsenal could have won any of the other top four European leagues other than the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. They are with no silverware. Chelsea's second half performance last season, I think they were unbeaten in the entire of second half last season. That could have won them any of the other top five leagues, European leagues, maybe except the La Liga last season. So that's damn difficult. And also, Continia, here's my question to you. If here's my question to you. If you put West Ham in the Conference League, which team would you actually put down in? Which team out of those top seven would you actually put down in West Ham's place? It's a difficult question. Think over it. Now Europa Conference League, that that spot is it's actually very difficult, but I would actually say Chelsea goes in there. I mean, if Chelsea signed Victor Osimhen, I think I would straight away put Chelsea competing for the top four and maybe finishing in the fifth place. That's how big that signing could impact him because you put Osimhen in there and suddenly you have Osimhen behind him, Palmer and Kunku and Pedro Neto. That four is one of the best attacking fours probably in Europe right now. That four is in the top three attacking fours in Europe right now. And you put a Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez behind them, and wow, that six would rival any of the other teams' uh, front six in the Premier League. That six is better than maybe most of the top six teams' front six. So if Chelsea sign Victor Osimhen and if Reece James stays fit, they could burst into the top four. But Reece James staying fit is even God doesn't know when he stays fit and when he doesn't. So that's a big thing for and Victor Osimhen. I think if it's we'll revisit these predictions again on August the 31st at the end of the transfer window and actually see based on the transfers if we have to change anything because if Palace sign only as a replacement then probably I put Palace higher mid table and something like that to be honest. Counting says Chelsea or Newcastle. Counting Chelsea have Conference League. Okay, they'll not give a shit about that. Okay. Chelsea might not give a shit about that, but Chelsea does not have a settled team. Newcastle, I think Newcastle have a settled team. Newcastle have players who trust the manager and the manager who trusts the players. A manager who has security and stuff like that. Probably, I mean, not security, but I should say probably Newcastle have a setup that is more stable than Chelsea. And stability is so underrated in football. And and also that's the difference again. Newcastle have Isak, who's easily top three Premier League strikers. I mean, right now in the top three Premier League strikers. And Chelsea don't have that Victor Osimhen thing. And if Newcastle didn't have Champions League last season, I think I think I think Newcastle would actually make the top four ahead of Aston Villa. To be honest, it's just because of the Champions League Newcastle couldn't make it. Bayaji is here. Hey Bayaji, how are you doing? Bayaji says Chelsea will take whole season to adapt to high pressing game of Maresca. That is true. That is true. And Countiny, honestly, West Ham could finish in the place of Chelsea, and Chelsea could drop down in the place of West Ham. So we just do not know. But right now, just seeing the firepower, the players that Chelsea have, and no striker, not gelled as much. I think with Chelsea, the thing is Chelsea have individual star winners. Palmer was one. Nkunku, if fit, could be another. Reece James, if fit, could be another. And with those X factor individual players, you see what they can do. Like Palmer, literally Palmer just took Chelsea through the entire half season. He was insane. For, he played well for 5 months and he won the Premier League Young Player of the Year or something like that. So that's how good Palmer was. X factor player. And Nkunku injured could be that X factor player. So Chelsea have those X factor players who take the system out of the window. Who when they think our club is just falling so down, I'll just burst onto the scene and I'll just turn it around. Chelsea have those kind of players. So but again, you bought Pedro Neto in, what will happen to Raheem Sterling? Unstable issues as well. So we don't know with that. But yeah, I would be stunned if Chelsea don't sign Osimhen and they finish in the top six. For me, it's seven or below for Chelsea. MCFR TV is here. Yes. How are you? I'm very good, mate. MCFR TV, how are you? I'm very, very good. Thanks for asking. Nick says, my predictions 1 City, 2 Arsenal, 3 Liverpool, 4 United. Newcastle, Villa, Spurs, Chelsea. Will come to that, Nick. We'll come to that when I finish with all of my this thing. So Chelsea in the Europa League, a Conference League spot. This is where it actually gets tough. Europa League spot 5 to 6. I actually think this is this is really tough. This is really tough. I'll actually put United in there. The reason being, Eric Ten Hag does not have the bottle. Eric Ten Hag does not have the courage to be himself. Eric Ten Hag favors Rashford, for example, over an Amad Diallo, who plays well. Favoritism. Eric Ten Hag overtrains players. Eric Ten Hag sits back and if he is losing 6-0 and instead loses 1-0 and wants to preserve respect. Pep in his first season lost 4-0 to Leicester, lost 4-0 to Everton, and everyone was like, Pep ball is not going to work. Klopp in his first season, I think he lost 5-1 or 6-1 to Spurs, if I'm not wrong. Big managers have the personality, they have the bottle, they have the courage to play it their own way. They have the courage to go down fighting. Eric Ten Hag does not have that. For me, it just seems that Eric Ten Hag wants job security, stability. He wants to stay with the club. Maybe he thinks I might not get a high-profile job like United again. Small thinking, small mentality. Very small mentality. I don't think with this mentality and his inability to manage players, causing them injuries and stuff, Eric, I think Eric Ten Hag will not finish in the top four. I think he finishes sixth. Probably sixth and seventh will be a close race, and Ten Hag finishes sixth just because Chelsea don't have Osimhen and he has Hoyland who can bang in some goals. That's the only thing I would say. MCFR TV says, agreed, great stuff. I put United 8th again. I think eight might be just too much of an overkill just because I think they have Bruno Fernandes and Hoyland and Garnacho, three people who can just bang in goals, and I think having someone who can bang in goals can just pepper over a lot of cracks. If you ask me, it's just such an underrated thing. Having someone who can bang in goals can keep you up in the competition and prevent relegation. It can drive you towards championship. It can drive you towards being champions. It can propel you into top four. Have goal scorer is just so underrated. MCFR TV says, I can't believe they kept Ten Hag. Maybe our FA Cup loss was a good thing as we got to laugh at United every league game again. There's an interesting article, MCFR TV, just before the Community Shield match at goal.com, I think. They wrote, Pep's playing for the Shield, but Ten Hag's playing for his job. United are playing for their job. And that's how it seemed, sitting back, hitting on the brake. I mean, people say, United played well. Alejandro Garnacho went on the counter and scored goals. But, mate, what was the difference? If he would have played Leicester on that day in the Community Shield, even Leicester have Daka and Jamie Vardy, and even Leicester would have done that. What was the difference? You're Man United. We expected much better from you, but no, they had to sit back. I mean, weak mentality from Ten Hag, weak mentality. Big managers never fear losing their job. What big managers fear is compromising their principles. Pep didn't compromise his principles after 4-0 losses to Everton and Leicester. Pep Klopp didn't compromise his principles after huge defeats against Spurs and stuff in his first season. Unai Emery didn't compromise his principles. At Arsenal, when he was losing so bad, he was sacked from his job. That was another thing. I think Ten Hag is small mentality manager, if you ask me. Bayaji says City did huge favor for Mr. Mago in FA Cup final so they could whoop them again. That is the thing, Bayaji, with City. We just give a little bit of hope and then just crush everyone, crush them down. With Arsenal, Arteta thought he could win the league. Then what does City do 2 seasons back? Gazump over Arsenal home and away, destroy them, especially at the Etihad. What did City do last season? Arteta thought we took 4 points of them, we can win the league. What did City do? Absolutely. We blitzed the league the last 10 matches. I mean, what City did to Ten Hag in the Community Shield is a response to what Sir Alex Ferguson said in 2011-12. He said, "You will never win a trophy in my lifetime," and we still bring banners to the ground that says, every fucking time." MCFR TV says he's actually replying to Nick. So MCFR TV says United 8th and Liverpool 11th. I love to be controversial. I said Chelsea 9th in 22-23 and they came 12th. MCFR TV, please jinx Arsenal. Please jinx Arsenal. Just say Arsenal will finish 5th or 6th or something like that. So that Pep's last season we can relax with some popcorn and cool drinks and whatever it is and just watch matches without any stress. Watch City matches without any stress. Please jinx Arsenal. Please jinx Arsenal. Countiny says they left Mazraoui, Anthony, Lisandro Martinez, Onana. Ten Hag got half of his Ajax side to United. Now we can't blame the owners anymore. High time for him to prove himself. Principles counting. Yeah, what I see is he is not following his principles. What did Onana do in the Community Shield, guys? Didn't Onana kick the ball long? David De Gea was much better at kicking the ball long than Onana. The 2 times or 3 times Onana tried to play out from the back, he was caught he was caught at City's press. Why the hell did you bring Onana there if you're not courageous enough? If you're playing for your job, I honestly think Ten Hag is playing for his job. That's all right now. And you're right, Count your Ten Hag is half of his squad, more than half of his squad. He's already had 2 seasons. He's at a comfort level that might not be afforded to other managers. Unai Emery was sacked, I think, after these 2 seasons at Arsenal. And Unai Emery for me is a better manager than Ten Hag. Could be controversial, but I say Unai Emery is a better manager than Ten Hag. More so after he defeated Arsenal home and away with Aston Villa. MCFR TV says, by the way, I said Chelsea 9th when they were still good at the time. Please, MCFR TV, say that to Arsenal. Arsenal 8th, Arsenal 9th. They are still very good, Arsenal. So your jinx might work and Arsenal might get dropped down to 9th. MCFR TV says, Sir Alex Ferguson said, Manchester City will never go into a derby as favourites. Now it's every time. Now it's every fucking time, MCFR TV. It's every fucking time. Alex, whenever City lift a shield or whenever City are winning a derby, the camera pans in the last seconds of the play before the referee is about to blow his whistle, or when the referee blows his whistle, the camera pans to Sir Alex Ferguson, and it's so freaking satisfying to see that image. He said, "Not in my lifetime." And he might be sitting there and thinking, it's happening bloody every fucking time. MCFR TV says, I put Arsenal third, so well, that is interesting, MCFR TV. Arsenal, Arsenal third. MCFR TV says, Onana is an embarrassment and United fans love him. That club in the mud, absolutely in the mud. That club not just in the mud, that club in the garbage dump. I'm sorry, I'll not respect. I'll not respect United. I'll not respect United at all. That club in the absolute garbage dump, not even in the mud. MCFR TV says, oh yes, Emery is much better. just a bit of thing, MCFR TV. I think if, and all of you guys as well, if Emery was at Arsenal, I think Arsenal would have won the league by now. If that guy can take Aston Villa to Arsenal twice and beat them home and away, he can bring Aston Villa to the Etihad. And sorry, if he can defeat us at Villa Park, and at the Etihad, he gave us a tough game with the second team. And Emery did so well against the other top six teams as well. I think if Emery was manager of Arsenal, Arsenal would have won the title at least once by now. Emery's pressing structure, I observe it, is much better than Arteta's. Emery's defense and Arteta. I mean, the one thing I'll tell you, one incident I'll tell you, and I think you can understand the difference between Emery and Arteta. Mikel Arteta, when he came to the Etihad, he shat his pants and he sat back. I mean, fuck that. When Arteta came, when City went to the Emirates last season, Arteta still parked the bus and sat back. Unai Emery played a high line and defeated us at Villa Park. Unai Emery played a high line at the Etihad. Okay, he lost to us, but there is the courage. There is the courage. That is the difference why Arteta is not able to win the title, and Unai Emery with Arsenal could have won them the title, to be honest. MCFR TV says, I hate all three red cartel ratty clubs. Liverpool, Arsenal and United. and we love claret colored clubs, MCFR TV, right? Aston Villa, Burnley. We love all of those clubs. Those clubs always seem to be helping us. MCFR TV says, agreed 100%. They didn't give Emery time like they gave Arteta. They didn't give him the players as well, MCFR TV. Where are the players? Arteta spent close to 500-600 million dollars in the last 5 years since he's come over, and Emery wasn't even given half of that. Emery was playing with Ozil and all of those players. I don't know if Sanchez was there or not, but it was just crap Arsenal team under Unai Emery, to be honest. Nick says they're all American owned too. A lot of commonalities, lot of common things between our rivals. MCFR TV says Aston Villa won 1-0, Man City 22 shots to 2. Best team I've ever seen against us under Pep. Exactly. I mean, what impressed me was, okay, City have lost. City have lost 1-0 to lower teams. We lost to Norwich, I think 3-4 seasons ago and stuff like that. But the way Unai Emery's Aston Villa pressed was just sensational that day. I was like, whoa, what am I seeing? I haven't seen anyone press City like that. It was just tactically superb from Unai Emery that day. Let's get back to our tier list now and Champions League spots. I mean, there's one more Europa League spot. Who do you guys think would go into that Europa League spot, to be honest? This is a tough one. This is a tough one. The next Europa League spot is a very tough one, to be honest. This is a very tough one. I mean, I, This is actually very difficult. I know everyone's going for Liverpool in the top four. I actually think I actually I mean could Liverpool end up in the Europa could Liverpool end up in the Europa League spot? Just uh just help me here. Could Liverpool end up in the Europa League spot? Ah, this is this is just so difficult. This is just so difficult. One thing I can absolutely say is Spurs are. I'm sorry, that will never happen. Spurs I think will qualify for the Champions League. I think Spurs qualify for the Champions League. I think Spurs qualify for the Champions League. The reason being they've got Dominic Solanke, Son Solanke, Kulusevski, Madison behind them, Pepe Matasar, US Bissouma. Again, one of the better top front sixes you'll see. The defense, Pedro Porro, Udogi seems to be coming along. Van de Ven is quick, Vicario is good. I actually think Spurs are a settled team. They would have learned a lot. And Spurs, we must remember, were one win away. Were one win. Spurs were one win away from qualifying in the Champions League last season. They lost to us, thankfully. And I think Spurs would have taken that over qualifying for the Champions League this season. I think Spurs will end up in the Champions League positions. I think Arsenal, as usual, will uh, Arsenal, as usual, will compete for us with us for the title for that second spot. Arsenal, Spurs. Now comes the conundrum. Now comes the conundrum. Now comes and now comes the conundrum between Liverpool and Newcastle. Who do you think? Liverpool new under Arne Slot. Liverpool have not got Zubimendi, Trent Arnold. I know seeing Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool in the preseason probably tells you that uh, Liverpool should probably qualify for the top four, but I just think this season qualifying for the top four will be like going for the title for Liverpool. To be honest, I actually think. Uh, I mean, this is something very interesting. MCFR TV says 10 people tuned in. Smash the likes. Yes, yes, guys, smash the likes. Thank you, MCFR TV for that. But I'm just thinking Liverpool not getting Zubimendi for me. That Liverpool not getting Zubimendi for me means that I think they actually finish in the Europa League. And for me, Newcastle settled squad having Bruno Guimaraes, Isaac, Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes, Javi Barnes, Almiron over there. I think Newcastle make the top four along with Arsenal and Spurs. Again, it's touch and go. I think top four will be very close. I think the top four race between United, Liverpool, and Newcastle will be very close. I think. I mean, if Liverpool sign Gordon and if Liverpool sign another holding midfielder, I think you could put Liverpool in the Champions League spots. But first season target for Arne Slot is getting into the top four. I think it will be like going for the title for him. And lo and behold, who wins the title? Who is the champion? Who is the champion, guys? Out and loud. Who is the champion? Who is the absolute champion? Blue Moon Rising. Again and again and again. Not in my lifetime, says Alex Ferguson. Not in our lifetime, says United fans. But it's freaking gonna be 7 in 8. It's freaking gonna be domination for Manchester City. It's freaking gonna be us going probably again. This time we won the Community Shield, so why not go for the sextuple? Perhaps last season could we rival Barcelona's record? Why don't we target that this season? The sextuple. Let us dream big and Blue Moon Rising. That is it. City are gonna win the Premier League for me. Seventh in 8 seasons. This is more dominant than what Bayern Munich did to the Bundesliga. More dominant than what PSG did to the French league. PSG were never as dominant as half as City were. This is more dominant than what Real Madrid and Barcelona have done to La Liga. This is pure dominance from City. This is how dynasties are built. Let us just enjoy this, guys. A big city dynasty being built, uh, built in front of our eyes. Let us enjoy every moment of this. And I have a strong feeling it's going to be double bonanza for us. A lot of people feel Pep goes after this season and the rivals can dominate again. You know what happens. Pep has a meeting in November, December, in that January, in that warm weather training break in Abu Dhabi. City announced that Pep signing a new contract. I think Pep extends by one more year easily. I think Pep extends by one more year. So that's bad news for our rivals. Let me take the comments now. MCFR TV says Aston Villa dominated as it should have been 4-0. I was relieved. I think it's the worst I have felt MCFR TV after that. We lost much bigger defeats, 4-0 to Everton, 4-0 to Leicester in the seasons before. We lost to Liverpool in the Champions League, Spurs 4-4, but this just felt so much worse. Aston Villa 1-0. It was like death by a thousand cuts for us. We were dominated absolutely from defense to attack everywhere. That was one of the most dominating performances I've seen someone play against City. MCFR TV says our two shots came in the 10th minute too. True. I think from the 20th minute roundabout, I think it was done. It was done. Most times when City lose, it's take our chances against Villa. It wasn't. Yes, that was the one match where there were no chances actually. Even if there were no chances at all, Villa didn't allow us anything. But the next week they go on and beat Arsenal, and I was like, wow. And then again they go on and beat Arsenal at the Emirates. I was like, hats off to you, Unai Emery. You're one of the favorite managers of us City fans right now. Coutinho says, rubbing salt on the wounds. Liverpool fans are already crying for missing out on Zubimendi. Let's make it worse. Put them fifth. Coutinho, you should you should give me some credit, Coutinho, because I could have even put them sixth or something like that. But honestly, I think it was a toss up. It was a toss up between Liverpool and Newcastle. And the only reason I put Liverpool in fifth is, I mean, you compare Newcastle and Liverpool. Liverpool, new manager, first season. Liverpool, no CDM. Newcastle, they have Zubimen. Sorry, Newcastle have Bruno Guimaraes. Sandro Tonali is going to be back for Newcastle. So suddenly the midfield of Newcastle is Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes with an attack with Willock or some or another other attacking midfielder. So suddenly you see that midfield is suddenly one of the best in the top six midfields, the midfields of the top six teams. And you look at Liverpool's midfield. Who's the CDM? Is Bacetic good enough to drive this top four challenge? Is Curtis Jones good enough to drive this top four challenge? Yes, Sabozla is there. Yes, McAllister has played there, but McAllister, Sabozla, Curtis Jones, that midfield for me is probably one of the weakest midfields of the top six teams, if you ask me, because of a lack of Zubimendi and Sabozla can create, but Sabozla is not a Bruno Fernandes or a Kevin De Bruyne or some or an Odegaard. You see, all of the other teams have Spurs, have Madison. No one like that for Liverpool. That's one of the reasons. And also, like MCFR TV pointed out, Liverpool's transfer business is horrific. Van Dijk, Salah, and Trent will leave on a free next summer. Alisson too. They will be mid-table club soon. They might not leave on a free MCFR TV, but honestly, their valuation will go down because next season, what Van Dijk I think will be well into his 30s. Salah is well into his 30s already. Their value is not much, and suddenly to replace a Salah, for example, Nico Williams, to replace a Van Dijk, you're bringing in, for example, let's say high rated centre back like Kim or someone like that from the Bundesliga, suddenly the asking prices will be 80, 90 million pounds because Liverpool have the need. You're right. I think the best time to bring your backup is to the main man is when the main man is sort of in his prime, but just trying to get is just getting off his prime so that you have the other one ready. Rodri Fernandinho for me is one of the best transitions I've ever seen in the Premier League. Fernandinho was just waning away. We bought in Rodri. Rodri learned from Fernandinho. Next season, Rodri. Otherwise, you could never have replaced Fernandinho well. That is one of the best piece of transitions I've actually seen. And also like MCFRT we put it out, Salah this season will be a year older. Van Dijk last season it seemed he was a bit off pace, a yard less. There was a time when there was no player. There was a time for 2 3 years, 2017 to 1920. I think that those 3 years were Liverpool's prime, were Van Dijk's prime. In those years, there was, I think it was Gabriel Jesus who was the only one who dribbled past Van Dijk. No one was able to dribble past Van Dijk for those 2 to 3 years in the Premier League. And suddenly everyone's dribbling past Van Dijk last season and the season before. He's lost a yard of pace. Liverpool fans might say we have Gerald Kwanzaa and all of those things, but can they really replace Van Dijk? I don't know. MCFR TV says some fans said they're getting bored of winning the league. I bloody adore it. I mean, every day when we get, I mean, every bloody season, MCFR TV, when we get to the last day or when we sort of get to April, the heart pounds in the same way. The stress, the tension, the jangling of the nerves, they are in the same way. It's not that we have won 6 Premier Leagues of the last seven. We'll relax. It's never that. I mean, bloody when City is playing in the preseason as well, we are 1-0 down to AC Milan, and I'm like, score. When there we are stressed. So winning leagues never gets boring. In fact, with each season it gets exciting because you're getting more and more dominant. You're just going away and away from your opponents. It's almost, fans telling winning the league is boring is almost like telling, a kid who's dreamed of becoming a pilot and flying high in the sky, telling the higher I go I'm getting bored, the higher I go from the earth I'm getting bored. In fact, it's the reverse, right? The higher you go from the earth and fly into the sky, you feel you have wings and you feel more freedom and you feel more excitement. Winning the leagues for us is just like that. It's like going higher and higher with the sky as the limit, with the abyss as the limit, destiny as the limit. That's the only thing. MCFR TV says the tears if Pep signs a new contract and we beat 115 would be unreal. Pep will sign a new contract for sure. MCFR TV and the 115 as well. The one, I mean, a lot of people don't understand what the 115 is actually about. I mean, people think the 115 is, City cheated in the transfer market, or City just overvalued deals and stuff like that. That's not the case. The bulk of the 115 charges are City have shown their accounts incorrectly. City have done financial, what do you say, financial manipulation of the accounts, which means Etihad Airways, Deloitte, KPMG, uh, two or three more Fortune 500 companies, and I mean, 6 7 multinational companies have all done wrong. So do these fans think those 7 multinational companies have done wrong for this? I mean, Sheikh Mansour earns how much from Etihad Airways, and what is his revenue from bloody City? It is nothing compared to how much he earns from his petroleum businesses and airlines businesses. It doesn't even make sense to do financial manipulation for a football club. Our revenue is hardly 500 million pounds, 600 million pounds. He earns that much in half a quarter in the Etihad business and stuff. So people are not getting the case right, to be honest. And the onus of proof is on the Premier League, and it's not on us to prove it against all of the multinational companies. It means the tax filing authorities in England, in UK have been wrong. The HRMC, I think HRMC, they have been wrong because City have been filing taxes with them. I mean, it's just a huge allegation, and people just do not understand. People just think it's some kind of us cheating in the transfer market or spending over sustainability rules or all of that. It's nothing like that. It's about showing manipulated accounts. With City, how can you manipulate the accounts when your CA checks it and all of the transactions have to be shown and all of those things. Ni- Nick says, let's go for the fifth in a row. Let's go for 7 and 8, Nick. Let's go for 7 and 8. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Every season it's getting more and more exciting to go for those titles. Sport Freak is here. He says we'll watch it at the night. Definitely, definitely do watch it. Sport Freak, and do let me know in the comments below what do you think. MCFR TV says yes. MCFR TV says Mark Goldbridge is a clown. He said United will win the Champions League last season. I don't think anyone takes him seriously right now. I think people just watch him when United lose. I just think people just watch him for his antics when United lose. I think it's getting beyond. Mark Goldrich is just beyond reality. I mean, his delusions when he says Bruno Fernandes was miles better than Kevin De Bruyne, and I mean, leave Mark Goldrich. Even those guys from, I think, from AFTV, I think, even when they actually said that is Kevin De Bruyne world class, and one of them he actually said on a YouTube video that uh, Odegaard is better than Kevin De Bruyne. So they are just jealous. They are just jealous clowns who just cannot see City win title after title. And let's enjoy the salty tears. Whenever I see them, I'm like, I'll have more of those. I'll have more of those salty tears. Here's the cup. That's what I'll say when I see them. MCFRT says, and we should sue him for misinformation on his massive platform once we win, it's gonna be a massive disaster for everyone else. MCFRTV. Khaldun is ready with all of his, army of lawyers. Once we win, once we win that 115 thing, it's almost like there'll be a barrage of defamation suits and lawsuits against all of those. Even TV channels, NBCSN, for example, uh, not Sky Sports as much, but there are a couple of American TV channels who do that. And where is this propaganda being driven from? By American owners, Glazers, United, sorry, Liverpool owners and stuff. American owners, they are the ones who are driving it. So even a child can understand, I think, that the TV channels over there are mentioning this, and it's innocent until proven guilty. And I'm sure will come out of all right. MCFR TV says he said Liverpool will win it this season. Exactly. Goldbridge said Liverpool will win it this season because the Champions League, right? MCFR TV. Goldbridge said Liverpool will win the Champions League this season. I mean, I mean, last season he jinxed United, and this season Liverpool fans are crying because he jinxes things a lot. He said Liverpool will win it, and I don't think Liverpool will even come out of the will even qualify for the next round probably in the Champions League because of the goal brick jinx. And always, whenever Arsenal win, his titles are Arsenal are incredible. And whenever City win, this nothing. He is just too salty. He was salty about us selling Alvarez for 84 million pounds, whereas I think someone should appreciate us 14 million pounds selling Alvarez 84 million pounds, Jan Kuto 4 million pounds, 25 million pounds you've sold him. Our net spend we have a profit of 130 million pounds this season. Liam Delap 20 million pounds. Savinho we have signed for 30 million pounds. Great bit of business from City. Kandanya says Arteta might as well get sacked if he fails this season. This is an interesting thing, guys. Let me know if very good question, Kandanya. Guys, let me know Will Arteta get the sack if he fails this season? Because it will be his fifth year. And how many managers in the Premier League in the recent past have gone without a trophy for 5 years? At least the top six club managers. There are not many, right? You get sacked in the third year. I think if Arteta was at Chelsea, he would be sacked in the first year itself. I think that there's actually I think a conundrum for Arteta here. Do let me know, guys. How does Arteta face this? The conundrum is: does he go for the silverware this season, or does he go for the title again? Knowing that if he again goes for the title on a full tilt, he will definitely not be winning Carabao Cup or FA Cup, because you have to gather all your resources towards City to compete for the title. And the Champions League is there, which will extended format this season. It will take a lot out of his players, cram schedule. The players have played Euros and come as well. First thing is to Arsenal have to go full tilt with City, and if they go, then will Arteta be willing to sacrifice not winning the Premier League again this season, and also not winning any other silverware? 5 seasons, one FA Cup. Arsene Wenger, when he's 100 years old, will win more silverware than Arteta has done in his 5 years. I think Unai Emery will win more silverware than Arteta has done in it with Villa than Arteta has done in his 5 years. So, so I think that's a big conundrum again. I think what will Arteta do? It's a big question mark. But for me, honestly, if Arteta fails this season, I think he goes. Failure in the sense, if he doesn't win a silverware, I think he goes. An FA Cup or a Carabao Cup might keep Arteta in the job for another season, and he'll be living on fumes. And maybe that next season, if Pep is not there, Arteta might want to try and win the league then. So that could be the plan. But yeah, I see Arteta getting sacked, to be honest. If Arteta doesn't win any silverware this season. Maybe not the league or the Champions League, but if Arteta doesn't win the Premier League. Counting says, nice video to start the season. Looking forward for a season of great content from you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kandanya, for the comment and also giving your valuable time here. Honestly, I enjoyed interacting with you all while doing this predictions video as well. I have never done this predictions video before on this channel at all, but just wanted to do it today for the first time, and it's much more exciting than what it seemed. It's really very exciting, and we'll revisit these predictions on August the 31st or September the 1st once the transfer window closes, depending on who teams sign by then. And maybe I think we could make some changes to this to this prediction table. I'm just thinking if Chelsea get a striker, I might put Chelsea in the Europa League spots actually and bring one of Liverpool or United down. That could be the only thing. That could be a change. And if Bournemouth sign a striker, I think Bournemouth might go one level up. So couple of changes could be there depending on the transfer window thing. And also when the countdown to the transfer window shutdown begins, I think we'll actually be live on the channel as well the last 1 hour or half an hour or so of the transfer window shutdown, and we'll be keeping an eye on the deals that have happened and also how have teams done in the transfer window. I expect to I expect some frenzy and rush to be on the last day of the transfer window this season. Because teams have not done a lot of business. Zubimendi, for example, has not come, so Liverpool might rush for a last minute striker and something like that. So last minute CDM or something like that. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. Counting says at the rate of MCFR TV. Good luck for your stream today. Keep joining us here. Yeah, MCFR TV. Good luck for your stream as well. I'll look to check out your other content as well. Uh, I'll look to check out your predictions video as well. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, and thanks everyone for joining me here. Bayaji, Kandenya, MCFR TV. Nick, thanks a lot to you as well. And Sport Freak. It's been wonderful chatting with you all, guys, and it's been It's been very nice, and let's hope these predictions come true. I would bloody be happy if Arsenal drops down a level as well. But anyway, guys, take care until another stream and see you all, guys.